in, tune in, and boom. Have this somehow. Okay, favorites. Over here.
Foundation's Gold Star, Fallen First Responders, Smart Home, and Homeless Veterans programs comprise their In the Line of Duty programs. They're all dedicated to honoring our nation's heroes and their families. The Foundation's Never Forget programs engages people in 9/11 remembrance across America. Over 80 runs and walks and climbs a year, dozens of golf outings, and the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is educating kids in kindergarten through the 12th grade to help our nation keep its vow to never forget. More than 95 cents of every dollar you donate to Tunnel to Towers goes to its programs. Never forget the sacrifice of our country's greatest heroes. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org. MyPillow no longer has the support of the big box stores or shopping channels. Now they found themselves a part of the cancel culture. Because of this and the change in retailers, they want to pass the savings directly on to you. So they're having a $25 extravaganza sale. With the help of its dedicated employees, MyPillow now has hundreds of products, and some of them you probably don't even know about. To get familiar with all their other products, they're having a $25 extravaganza with the promo code BECK. 2-pack multi-use My Pillows, just $25. My Pillow sandals, $25. Their 6-pack towel set is, guessed it, $25. And for the first time ever, the premium My Pillows with all new Giza fabric, any size or loft level, $25. Just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio list.
Square for these $25 deals, plus free shipping on orders over $75. Enter the promo code BECK or call 800-966-3117 for this amazing offer that will not last long.
¿Estás buscando que tu hijo prospere? El Distrito Escolar Unificado de la Ciudad de Vallejo es el lugar perfecto. Creemos en dar forma al futuro de Vallejo a través de una educación de calidad y valores comunitarios compartidos con un ambiente de aprendizaje inclusivo. Hacemos un impacto real en nuestros estudiantes. La inscripción para todos los grados ya está abierta. Descubre la excelencia en el Distrito Escolar Unificado de la Ciudad de Vallejo. Inscríbete hoy. Somos las escuelas de Vallejo. Somos Vallejo.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives you access to all. Every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow. iHeartMedia is your access company. Go to iHeartResults.com for more.
How do people feel about getting Big Fitness Energy at Planet Fitness for 25 cents down and $10 a month? They feel as thrilled as a kid the first summer they're tall enough to ride the roller coaster! That's right. When you join Planet Fitness right now, you get access to tons of equipment and free fitness training in a clean and spacious club. Don't wait. Join the judgment-free zone today for that all-day energy. Download the free Planet Fitness app and join today for 25 cents down, $10 a month.
Spring into savings at Planet Fitness. Hurry. Deal ends April 25th.
See Home Club for details.
A university president under more pressure. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. After 6 days of protests and arrests, pro-Palestinian protesters have more tents up at Columbia University, where the president's facing more calls to resign as this wave of protests continues to spread to campuses around the country and others in New York City.
Just last night, the NYPD was called onto the campus of NYU now, arresting dozens of protesters who were asked to get out by the university, but they didn't comply, setting up tents in their so-called Gaza encampment.
Fox's Alexis McAdams. NYU requested police to help clear the tent protest, as Columbia did last week. At NYU today, workers are putting up plywood barriers in some areas. Day 2 of testimony underway at former President Trump's criminal trial in New York after arguments this morning on possible gag order violations.
Judge Juan Merchan heard arguments from both sides before the jury was brought in, but did not rule on the matter. The gag order bars the former president from attacking witnesses, prosecutors, jurors, and court staff, as well as their relatives. Prosecutors say he violated the order 10 times and asked the judge to fine him and hold him in contempt of court. The former president's lawyer argued that his client didn't willfully violate the order and that he was responding to others' comments.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Heading into court earlier, the former president called what's happening on college campuses a disgrace, blaming President Biden, who's heading to Florida, focusing on abortion rights. American journalist Evan Gerskovich stays locked up in Russia, at least until the end of June. The 32-year-old loses using his latest appeal to be freed from pre-trial detention in a Moscow prison.
It's over a year since the Wall Street Journal reporter was detained and accused of spying for the United States. He, his employer, and the U.S. government all say the charges are untrue. In December, the State Department said it offered a prisoner swap to secure the release of Gershkovich and another jailed American, Paul Whelan.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. America is listening to Fox News.
Right, who's there for heroes or their families left behind when a service member or a first responder dies or is catastrophically injured in the line of duty? Who helps our country's homeless vets? I'll tell you who. It's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Never forget the sacrifices of our country's greatest heroes. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org, the letter T, number 2, letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
Smart journalism, fascinating topics, words that describe CNN's podcast, The Assignment with Audie Cornish.
We are revisiting the public school culture wars. What have we learned from the kids who fought against book bans?
We really started the club to get students reading these books. Students have an opinion in this fight too.
How has the war over books sparked a backlash to the so-called parents' rights movement?
It's not okay what they're doing, and they're being watched.
Listen to The Assignment with Audie Cornish, streaming now on the iHeartRadio app.
Attention parents, watch your child go from ABCs to confident readers in just 30 days with Hooked on Phonics. It only takes 15 minutes a day to unlock the most important life skill for their future, reading. We transform kids no matter their starting point with fun lessons, catchy songs, and guaranteed results. One grade level jump or your money back. Right now, get free access to Hooked on Math and Spelling apps, plus your first month for just $1. Visit hookedonphonics.com today and unleash your child's reading potential.
We're Paint Care, and we're all about keeping it simple. We make recycling leftover paint easy with convenient locations like your local paint store. We have 3 simple rules for painting smarter and reducing waste. 1. Buy only what you need. 2. Use up what you already have. And 3. Recycle the rest. Visit paintcare.org/3 simple rules to learn more or find a paint drop-off site near you.
Find what you love, love what you find. Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines.
Drink responsibly, B21. I can afford to follow my dreams.
I can afford to do whatever I put my mind to.
I can afford college.
Start your future at a California community college. Financial aid is available to help with tuition, books, and sometimes even the rent.
I can afford to invest in myself and my future.
It's time to take the next big step. Classes can fill up quickly, so enroll today at icangotocollege.com.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password.
Turning into any kind of a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated US-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Something big is here. Something so big it couldn't fit in a can.
Introducing Bubbly Burst, a sparkling water beverage bursting with so much fruit flavor, we had to put it in a bottle. With 6 sensational flavors and no added sugar, the newest member of the Bubbly fam is worth smiling about. So look for the colorful Bubbly Burst bottles and add a burst of fruit flavor to your day.
Oh, Bubbly Burst, coming to a fridge near you. Is the Patriot AM 1150, an iHeartRadio station.
So, drama, of course, in the Trump trial as Judge Marchand comes after Donald Trump for allegedly violating a gag order. Lots of discussion about that. The trial continues with David Pecker, what a name, on the witness stand, who was in charge of the National Enquirer at the time. There is, I would encourage you guys, I shared it, we'll throw it up on Clay and Buck as well. Amazingly, the New York Times has published a savage takedown of the charges being brought against Trump by a Boston University professor. I'd encourage you guys to go read it. It's really, really well done. We may talk some about that. Alec Baldwin in the news yet again for being harassed, but you may listen to the audio and actually find yourselves unbelievably thinking that Alec Baldwin is not the bad guy, which is the way Buck and I both responded.
I just want to prepare everybody today. We have a number of instances where we're going to have to call out people that we usually are throwing haymakers at here on the show. We're going to be giving them a golf clap. I just want everyone to be, there are a few instances of this.
Yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about the protests that are taking place on so many university campuses. I would say primarily in the Northeast, although it's also on the West Coast now. Leftist institutions overwhelmingly now having sit-in protests, tents out on quads to attack Israel for the way that they are defending themselves in the wake of the October 7th terror attacks. And Columbia University, I can't believe this is real. Columbia University has ended all in-person classes for the remainder of the semester because they don't feel like it is safe, essentially, for students to be on campus, particularly students who might be Jewish. This has turned into a huge deal. NYU, I know they had a raid last night from the New York Police Department, but they also have faculty that are walking out and trying to create human shields for the pro-Palestine, however you want to classify it. I don't think they're necessarily pro-Hamas, although some of them do seem to be explicitly pro-Hamas. Basically, I think characterized as anti-Israel protests is a fair way to say this, that are springing up all over the country. And we have to give credit. I can't believe it, but on Morning Joe Scarborough, who is right up there with The View in terms of regular propaganda idiocy that is being espoused, he had a really good question. I want to play that for you, and then I will play the response. But first, credit where credit is due, Joe Scarborough actually making sense.
One of my pet peeves seems to be one of your pet peeves, and that is, 2 million people have been killed in the Sudan civil war. I haven't seen a protest in NYU for that. Assad killed 500 Arabs. I didn't see colleges burned down. 500,000 Arabs killed by Assad. Saddam Hussein killed over 1 million Muslims in wars. I gassed them. I didn't see protests there. Yet your school is shut down right now because Israel is responding to the worst attack against Jews worldwide since the Holocaust. Help us sort through that.
Great question, right? I mean, credit where credit is due.
He's entirely right, and Clay, you and I see this the same way. I want to get to that Galloway response, but just real quick. Who's a professor at NYU, actually a school that I almost went to, NYU Stern, the business school. But you could do this in a whole range of ways. You look at the deaths in all those wars that he brought up. You look at the Yemeni civil war, which has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. People are starving to death. It's been horrible, but it's Muslims killing Muslims.
Yes.
And this is a little bit like, and this is where you and I see it the same way, when we talk about police violence or gun violence in this country. It's only very specific gun violence or police-involved violence that anyone seems to care about on the left. And as we've talked about, BLM pretends that it is cops killing black men across America without cause or justification because of systemic racism. And that is actually an incredibly rare, thankfully, incredibly rare event. But black people killing other black people on the streets of Chicago or New Orleans or Baltimore or other cities is a far more common, but there's no movement, there's no marches in the streets, there's no anger about this. And you have to ask, all these, they want to say they're anti-war, anti-Zionist, Clay. No, they're anti-Jewish. It's only when the Jewish people are fighting against Hamas that all of a sudden, or any terrorist entity, this really matters. But Galloway, he's right here. You want to call?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's anti-Jewish. I think it's what really also is coming out. Yes, there's partly anti-Jewish. It's that Jewish people are seen as white, and as similarly BLM.
This is what I said at the beginning when this whole thing broke out. That this is a race conflict. That's how it's seen in America.
They only care, BLM does, when a white person is involved in taking a black life. Because remember, even when it's police involved, the situation, the murder of the guy who was beaten to death by a collection of black cops in Memphis, that story vanished. They put out video of it. I mean, the guy was pulled over. I can't even remember his name right now. He certainly didn't get any statues. There wasn't any riots to speak of. It totally vanished. Now, if five white officers had beaten this black kid to death, Memphis would have burned down. But because it wasn't even just a police thing, it's just what color are the police officers, which is crazy, but that's how this is connected. But the response to, I wish, he's never going to do it because that's going too far, but I wish that Joe Scarborough had made that connection and said, wait a minute, all these BLM protests are similarly motivated, not on actual violence, but by what the race is of the person that they believe is perpetrating the violence. Who is, in other words, the oppressor, who is the colonizer. But here is Professor Galloway's response to that good question from Joe Scarborough.
I'll give you some more numbers. 2,200 American servicemen killed at Pearl Harbor. We go on to kill 3.5 million Japanese, including 100,000 in one night. 2,800 Americans in 9/11. We go on to kill 400,000 people in Afghanistan and Iraq. We weren't accused of genocide. If Mexico had elected a jihadist cartel to run their country, and they incurred into Texas, and on a per capita basis killed 35,000 people with the population of the University of Texas, and on the way back took the freshman class at SMU hostage and hid them under tunnels, what would we do? It'd be the great Sonora radioactive parking lot. But Jews are not allowed, and Israel is not allowed to prosecute a war. And they are prosecuting a war more humanely than we have done. The ratio of combatants to civilians, civilian death to combatant mortality is lower than it was in Mosul, lower than it was in Japan, lower than it was in Germany. So there's just a different standard for Jews in Israel when it comes to prosecuting a war. They're about to fight back to a truce. But unlike America or any other Western nation that has attacked this viciously, they're not allowed to win a war. It's a double standard.
Overwhelmingly, I agree with that answer. I would just say, not really fair to compare casualty statistics from the Second World War and today. Like, we have far better munitions, intelligence, etc. I mean, it used to be you wanted to bomb a part of a city, you kind of just drop the bombs out of the air. You had the Norden bomb site, but you drop them and you hope they hit. We have far better, and the Israelis do too, have far better intelligence now. But put that aside, because he was saying Japan and Germany, if we prosecute the war, or rather the Israelis prosecute the war with greater efficiency. Well, yeah, it was a long time ago. That all said, his overall point is something we've said on the show. Yeah. Which is, well, if I think you said specific cartels. Yeah, I did this. And it's absolutely true. And I would have nothing but contempt for anyone, American or otherwise, if in that example of the cartel, and narco-terrorists are a real thing. In fact, if you go back before Bin Laden, the world's most wanted man was Pablo Escobar, who flew planes out of the sky and did political assassinations and was involved in acts of mass murder. Narco-terrorists are a real thing. If a narco-terrorist group operating out of Mexico that had been elected by the Mexican people, that had won an election in Mexico, had done what had just occurred in Israel to us, and we were talking about sending in, our elite units to just, mop the floor with them. Anybody who would say, ceasefire, I would have nothing but contempt. And so I offer the Israelis the exact same moral calculation, the exact same moral freedom to operate that I would give myself under those.
I think it's perfectly well said. I don't remember the last time that I heard a well-reasoned, rational argument on MSNBC. And I give credit to Scarborough and Galloway for having that conversation, because that is, I think, an elite, high-level discussion that is probably analogous, that to me is almost impossible for someone to respond to who is protesting against Israel right now and be able. Now, you could, I guess, be someone who is So you can be a Quaker and say that there is no right to violence anywhere, but then obviously Hamas interacting violently on October 7th is tough for that argument.
Yeah.
But short of that, I don't even understand what the response would be other than, but they're white. That's really basically what this boils down to.
Not to get too deep into this with pacifists and pacifism, but Quakers can only exist in societies where there are other people who are willing to take up arms in the defense of basic freedoms and rights, so that the Quakers can take the positions that they have. Just putting that there. You're not going to find any Quakers in Saudi Arabia.
Building on that analogy, everybody who is attacking Western civilization only has the ability to attack Western civilization because they have the good fortune to live in a Western civilization to be able to attack it.
I also think that we may be, and it depends on how long this goes, right? If we look at BLM 2.0, really, it began with George Floyd, and it started getting really big in June of 2020. We're a little earlier in the timeline here. It's obviously almost May. But I think the problem they're running with is this has become the issue of the activist left, that this is the mobilization in an election year for the emotionally deranged leftist activist mentality and also infrastructure that they have at some level. Like a lot of tents showing up very quickly. I will say that
The exact same tents.
yeah, it does seem like someone's doing something somewhere to help this stuff out, right? We can dive into that a little more. But the difference is Joe Biden is in charge. So you're mobilizing at a time when your guy, effectively, as a leftist, is calling the shots. And also, I think that there's a particularly powerful downside to this. Basically, what I'm saying is to mobilize around the cops are racist and America's racist, that works for Democrats in a way that having the left decide to just unleash all their anti-Semitism at once, I think is politically, not only is it wrong morally, I think it's a blunder too. And I think that there are some Democrats who are realizing this. They do not want this to continue through the summer. I do not think this is going to help their electoral prospects.
Not only that, I mean, it directly attacks the Identity Politics Coalition because BLM brought together all the Arab protesters, in theory, all the Jewish protesters who were on the left. This is tearing it apart, which is why I sent you a message. I saw it was being shared. MSNBC, at least this morning, was not covering at all any of the campus protests that are going on. They are maniacally focused on the Trump trial. So if you only paid attention to the MSNBC website, to be fair, that clip that we just played you is from Morning Joe, so they were talking about it there. But if you're just someone who's going on to the MSNBC website, like what's the news of the day, all you would get is Trump. Is Rachel Maddow on Monday? I think she had a panel discussion. It was all Trump. I don't know that you would be very aware of this if you are a typical leftist person who is consuming news.
Well, I mean, the New York Times, it's front page New York Times, it's front page Washington Post, isn't it? I mean, MSNBC, I was going to say, is MSNBC even more to the left of those publications? I'm not sure that's really.
I think that the challenge they've got is Trump is their great saint, and they don't want to distract at all from the fact that the Trump trial is going on because it is probably, frankly, better ratings because there's a bad guy there that they've been wanting to get for a long time. I give credit again to Scarborough and Galloway for having this discussion. It would be a fun and interesting analysis of media. What percentage? Let's compare Fox News coverage of the trial, which I'm sure they're covering it a lot, with how MSNBC and CNN are covering it, because I do think that's intriguing. These days, $20 bill doesn't go far, but it will buy you a full month cell phone service from Pure Talk. $20 a month gets you unlimited talk, text, plenty of 5G data from Pure Talk. You'll get the same quality of service as AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, but for half the cost. We both rely on Pure Talk service, as do many of you. Average size family saves almost $1,000 a year, all with no contracts, no activation fees. When you switch to Pure Talk, you keep your phone number and your phone. Their U.S.-based customer service team makes it really easy. Make the switch today. Save an additional 50% off your first month. Choose a wireless company who shares our values and who creates American jobs. Dial pound 250, say the keywords play and buck. Make the switch today. That's pound 250, say the keywords play and buck.
Keeping it real.
keeping it honest. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
What do you give the mom that gave you everything? This Mother's Day, give the gift of a lifetime of memories made together, digitized forever with Legacy Box.
Legacy Box provides the perfect gift for mom. They digitally transfer all the memories your family has made and recorded on videotapes and film. When you digitize those memories, you're preserving them forever and making them easy to rewatch and revisit.
Legacy Box has been trusted by over 1 million families already. You send them your tapes, films, and photos. They transfer all those memories onto digital files and then return your tapes and film, plus brand new digital files. It makes a great gift for mom.
We both relied on Legacy Box to do this for our families. They do quality work. What you get back in the way of family memories and entertainment is priceless. Go to legacybox.com/buck for their best Mother's Day sale ever. 60% off their regular prices. That's a Mother's Day deal. Go to legacybox.com/buck for 60% off. That's legacybox.com/BUCK.
Attention parents. Watch your child go from ABCs to confident readers in just 30 days with Hooked on Phonics. It only takes 15 minutes a day to unlock the most important life skill for their future, reading. We transform kids no matter their starting point with fun lessons, catchy songs, and guaranteed results. One grade level jump or your money back. Right now, get free access to Hooked on Math and Spelling apps, plus your first month for just $1. Visit hookedonphonics.com today and unleash your child's reading potential.
Find what you love, love what you find. Total wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines.
Drink responsibly, 21.
Less than 10% of kids in America get enough fiber, but my kids do. Because Metamucil. Delicious Metamucil Kids Fiber Gummies help boost fiber intake with 5 grams of plant-based fiber per serving.
Metamucil.
That's as much as